Welcome back to the Blasphemous Cinema Podcast. I'm your host, Jake, and with me today is, of course, my co host, Addison. How are we doing today, Addison?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Doing good. We are here to discuss your pick, David Fincher's The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, 2011, the American adaptation of the book by Stieg Larsson. Um, 2 years after the Swedish um, film was adapted, and we got a powerhouse of Daniel Craig and Rooney Mara as the main two leads. You know,
Heck yeah.
throw in Stellan Skarsgård, Christopher Plummer, Robin Wright, stacked.
And Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross doing the score with your Nine Inch Nails shirt on.
Is it? This was like one of their like earlier ones, right?
I think so because their first one was The Social Network, and I
And
think
that
was
in
the next one.
2000. I think Social Network was 2010, right? Yeah. So this was a year after it. Yeah.
Yeah,
So this is like probably their second one. Then
yeah, banger.
they kill it.
They kill
They
it.
they kill it. Um, Addison, give me your a little bit of your backstory on this film and why did you pick this for the podcast?
I've always liked David Fincher, and I think he's pretty impressive. Hot take, pretty good director.
Pretty good.
And I used to like just try and go through. I mean, I still kind of do this today, but just go through everyone's filmographies, and I just realized that I think like in 2016 or 2017, I realized there was a David Fincher movie that I hadn't seen, and it was The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo.
Oh
And so
hell yeah.
I think I bought it on Blu-ray. I still have the Blu-ray, and yeah, it just became one of those weird comfort watches, kind of like Chinatown, where I would just have it on all the time, and I would
Hmm.
rewatch it all the time, which is kind of weird for The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo because it's so dark.
It's just one of those things where I completely understand where like there's a lot of dark films where I would consider like kind of comfort films for me because it's like it just feels so easy to just be in the atmosphere of the worlds.
Yeah.
And especially with this one, it does feel it is pretty cold, but it is also it's like I feel right next to these characters in a way.
Yeah, that's kind of how it was because I mean, it's so oppressive and dark the atmosphere is, especially in some of the more just brutal scenes. But I don't know, there's something about when it's just like Elizabeth and Miguel just hanging out at the
Mm,
cottage, just like investigating, smoking cigarettes and like drinking coffee. I don't
yeah.
know. There's something real comforting and also something real disturbing about this movie simultaneously. And I just always thought it was just a fascinating movie, especially in Fincher's filmography, because it's one of the few movies that's like a remake. It's one of the few ones that's from like IP,
Yeah.
and it never got a sequel. Like there was just a lot around this movie, and it was like the first. It was the movie he made after his biggest hit, The Social Network. It's just one of those
Mhm.
weird movies in a director's filmography where it's kind of like the black sheep.
Yeah.
But I
I would
think
say like at that point it was the black sheep. I do think like he's kind of had a run of like some movies that you'd more consider black sheep at this point, like
yeah,
Mank or whatever.
I think Mank is the
Um,
black sheep now.
yeah, 1000%. But yeah, definitely at the time, like going from the Social Network to this is very interesting.
And this is actually one of the ones that I actually revisit the most. I mean, it was a comfort watch back then, and I still now it's just fun to just put it on sometimes. And I mean, even
Hmm.
today, just watching, I was like, this is just such a good movie. It's insane how good it is, like the technical aspects, and I mean, everyone gives a great performance in it too. But I just picked it honestly just because I wanted to do something Fincher, and I think this movie definitely qualifies as disturbing cinema.
There's some pretty tough scenes, man.
Oh yeah, definitely some
There's some
tough
pretty
scenes.
tough scenes. Um, I think in my history with this was my dad had first watched. I wasn't allowed to watch them, but like I knew my dad was watching the Swedish films. Then he had watched the newest, the Fincher one, and at that point, I was it was like one of those things where it's like, I can't wait to see this one day, type thing. Um, then kind of I got the Blu-ray for both The Social Network and The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, not too far apart. Um, the Social Network was the movie that changed my mind and that made me view movies as art.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that was that movie for me. Um, so then, not too long after watching The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, um, I just thought it's such a like visually, like it is like it's like a 2000s digital like look to it, and I do really appreciate how you can tell it's Fincher from both of these movies.
Yeah.
I mean, they're obviously back to back and everything. Um, Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross are both on the scores for both of them, um, and Rooney was in Social Network. Looking at like the list of like people who they had in mind for the characters, kind of is wild because I just can't see anyone else doing these characters,
No.
especially for the American one. It like I can't see Emma Watson in this role.
No.
And I can see Emma Watson and George Clooney just doing this thing.
I mean, I think this is easily like the best Daniel Craig has been outside of Bond, and I think this is probably my favorite Rooney Mara performance too. But I mean, they're incredible. Like they own these roles. I mean, I haven't seen the Swedish ones, but I mean, it's just like I think they're just batting next level on this movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I was so happy that you ended up picking this because I hadn't seen it in several years, and like for the past like almost year and a half, I've been itching to rewatch it, and here we are. Uh, Phenomenal rewatch. I like you said, it was just like one of those things you kind of just you throw on and you just kind of feel right in this movie. You also don't feel right in this movie, but you feel right in the way it's like I like spending time with Daniel Craig and Rooney Mara and even the side characters that we get. I really like Stellan Skarsgård in this movie a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, he's just a phenomenal actor overall, but I really like his performance here. Christopher Plummer, from what we get from him, is really good. So yeah, there's a lot that just feels right about this movie. Before we kind of go in and into the details with it, where do you think this sits in Fincher's filmography for you?
I honestly don't know because it goes up every time I rewatch this movie.
Yeah.
Dragon Tattoo has like been rising for years. I mean, now it probably would be in the top 3
Okay.
at this point because I would probably do The Social Network and then, or maybe The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. Yeah, maybe The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo at number 2, and I'd probably do The Social Network at number 1, and then probably like Gone Girl at 3.
Okay. Zodiac's my number 1.
Zodiac, I think, would be my 4.
Okay. Yeah, I'd probably go Zodiac, Social Network, Gone Girl, Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. So technically it's, even though I think this is like a near perfect movie, it's a little bit more towards the middle for me.
Yeah, I was just like I think Fincher's digital trilogy, which is, I guess that's what the people called it back then, but the digital trilogy.
Social Network, Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, and Gone Girl, correct?
Yeah, I think those 3 are just kind of like, I think those are lights out for Fincher's filmography. I think those are like I think that's Fincher at his peak, and I think that's him working within, I guess, like everything that he does well, working in the thriller genre and working with the dark subject matter and like having just the peak powers, peak like I guess like studio backing, peak budgets for him. I think those are I think those are my top 3 just because that just feels like what Fincher was made to do.
Mm-hmm.
And it just sucks that now we're kind of in the the downward swing, it feels like, of what he was
Yeah.
made to do.
Yeah. Yeah, his I mean like he still had some like, some good stuff after this, but his career's been very interesting to say the least since then. We're both pretty big on the killer.
Yeah,
Um
that's like the closest he's gotten since
gotten back to
Spiral.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um I have no idea how to feel about the Adventures of Cliff Booth. I think that more likely than not, I don't feel like it's going to be that great.
I'm a little worried about it, but we'll see.
Yeah,
Hopefully Fincher can prove me wrong. But
yeah,
I'm a little
yeah.
worried.
There's just a lot of worry for me attached to it.
Yeah.
It doesn't like doing digital after Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Um, feels wrong.
Yeah, and there was all the talks about them doing a bunch of reshoots on it too, which worries me. And yeah, I just don't really. And apparently there was a lot of conflict between Tarantino and Fincher on set, so I really don't know what to think about that movie because it's putting two controlling dudes on the same set.
They're also very different filmmakers.
Yeah, that's kind of the weird thing about that movie is that they're kind of like they feel very polar opposite in the terms of their actual filmmaking aspects, even though they're both phenomenal filmmakers.
Yeah, Fincher feels a lot more precise. Um, Tarantino feels a lot more like free flowing in a way.
Yeah, he's a lot more hangout.
Yeah.
Like
Um,
Once Time in Hollywood's a hangout movie.
mhm. So yeah, we'll see what we get from here on out. But back to the girl with the dragon tattoo. Let me get this up here.
I think
So
an argument could be made that does this have one of the coolest like cold opens into opening title sequences ever?
yeah, let's yeah. I mean, that's what we're gonna get into. So it's like let's talk about it. So in like the opening scene, you kind of get a phone call, and Christopher Plummer opens up a package. Um, do you remember what he like says?
I think he just says it's another one.
Yeah, and you kind of don't know. You just know it's like yeah, it's another one, and it's um, a framed what kind of looks like a painting, but it's like flowers pressed on top of each other,
Mm-hmm. Like
and
in the glass.
and you get one of the most 2000s um credits opening credit scenes that you can imagine in a good way.
Yeah.
Like this feels very much of its time. But you have a cover of the Immigrant Song by Trent and Atticus Ross, and you're getting like these
And Karen O, I think. I think Karen O is
yeah.
the singer.
And they're doing like all like it's a lot of like digital graphic stuff, playing with like black liquid, going over a lot of the iconography and imagery attached to the characters and then the film as a whole. Um, yeah, it was really interesting like reviewing this because it was just like yeah, I think this it fits extremely well. Um, but it's like one of those things where it definitely feels like of its time in a good way.
Yeah. I mean, I absolutely love it. Like, I just think it's so cool. And I think it was one of the first, like, fully digital title sequences.
Oh, okay. Hell
Like,
yeah.
I think supposedly, I might be wrong about that, but I thought I heard that somewhere there was, like, one of the first that was 100% fully digital made. And he did the same thing for The Killer. But I just
Yeah.
absolutely love it, the way it looks and how it's all just, like, the black ink, like, liquid, and it's going over keyboards and snakes and wires
Yeah.
and skulls and stuff. I was like, this just feels so Fincher. And then you just have Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross covering Immigrant Song with Karen O, and it just goes straight from the cold open into that, and then straight into Blomqvist leaving the court hearing. I was like, this is just awesome.
Um, you know who did this opening sequence?
No, who was it?
Tim Miller.
Oh, for real?
Yeah. Um, he wanted to develop an abstract narrative that reflected the pivotal moments in the novel as well as character development of Elizabeth's character. Um, so yeah, that's kind of what he had in mind. And the original designs wanted to be a little bit more cyberpunky. Um, every time you would show David design, you would say more Tandy. It's the little shitty computers from Radio Shack, the Tandy computers.
Nice.
Probably had vacuum tubes in them, really old technology, and David would go more Tandy until we ended up with something that looked like we glued a bunch of computer parts found in a junkyard together.
It's like Tetsu, the Iron Man meets Blade Runner.
Yes, yeah, and it very much like it. I think they definitely excelled at what that they were trying to, you know, set out to do. So shout out Tim Miller, who that's an interesting guy. You know, he's got Deadpool and Terminator Dark Fate to his name. So,
The funny thing about Dark Fate 2 is like I think that he showed Fincher Dark Fate because Fincher loves the first Terminator movie.
uh-huh.
I think there was like an interview or something where he said he didn't say anything about the movie except for the home invasion scene. He was like, I really like that. It reminded me of like slasher moments like from the first one. And he was like,
Uh-huh.
I felt bad because he only said a good thing about one scene, but then I thought about it and I was like, I was just happy that Fincher said something good about one scene.
Uh-huh.
So
That, I mean, no.
it's kind of one of those things where it's like, I feel like Fincher would kind of be a hard person to impress.
Yeah, I think he kind of like I don't know. Maybe I'm completely speaking out of my ass here, but I could almost like see him like really liking like kind of like his own like style or whatever. Like he likes what he likes, and he kind of stick. I don't know. That it. I could just get that feeling from him.
Oh,
I could be totally wrong though. So we get introduced to Daniel Craig's character who's coming out of a hearing, and he's being sued for libel by the CEO of let me get the
don't butcher
what's
it.
the I'm not gonna butcher it.
Don't butcher that name.
Um, so it's against Hans Eric Weinerstrom.
Winterstone.
And essentially he wasn't able to do it because he couldn't, prove it. So he ended up getting, liable to his name. And Daniel Craig's character, Mikhail, is working. He's a journalist and he's working at a newspaper, at a magazine. And the one thing I love is so he's at the coffee shop. You get a scene of them there with like the news footage playing. But I love when he's like walking back into the office and everyone stares at him and he just says, "Yeah," and then walks up to his boss's room.
It's so good. You get so much of Daniel Craig in this movie out of like little moments, like when he's at the coffee shop before he goes back to the office, and he just gets the sandwich and a black coffee at first, and then he watches the news a little bit more, and then they basically badmouth him on the TV and talk about how he ruined everything, and then he goes back to the counter and he's like, and I'll have a pack of Marlboros and just a lighter, and he smokes one cig and throws the pack in the trash, and then as soon as he gets back to the office, the boss, who's also like a torrid affair for him at the same time, like calls him out immediately, and he was like, I was just out there walking, and she was like, and smoking.
There's a lot of
funny.
There's a lot of like subtle humor in this movie,
Yeah,
and all of it hits.
I think so. I think that's something Fincher's good at, though. Like, I think he's good at more at subtle humor than like just flat out, just like slapstick or like over the top humor.
1000%. And so it's at this point where we kind of get the we get introduced to Rooney Mara's character, who's sitting in on a meeting with two high level execs, and they're basically she was responsible for basically hacking into someone's um, computer and all that stuff behind the scenes. So she is brought into his meeting to uncover a lot of the behind the scenes stuff of an investigation of someone. And the one guy's kind of interrogating her, and you get like the whole like intro of like, the one guy's like, I don't know if you're gonna like her. And he's like, I don't see like an issue, like why wouldn't I like her? And then you get introduced to her character, and like obviously she's like super alt goth, super punky, and very antisocial, very blunt, very reserved. Um, Death stares the entire time.
It's a great intro. I love
Yeah.
it because she pulls up on the bike and then takes off the helmet, and the whole time she's like getting into the office, they're overlaying the two guys' conversation upstairs. And he's talking about how it's better that she works from home, she doesn't get along with people. And the whole time she's walking down the hallways, they're doing all these tracking shots, and they're filming her from like just the back of her head, like not really showing her. And all these people are giving her weird looks and everything as she's walking by because she's got the mohawk and the piercings and everything. It's just such a good intro. And then once you get in there, you find out that she was doing an investigation on Blomkist. Like that was his dossier that they were doing because she had uncovered all the stuff about him for
Yeah.
the guy because they wanted to hire him.
Mm-hmm. Um, so we kind of go back to Daniel Craig's character, who is he's kind of in limbo right now, um, but he gets offered a a proposition from Christopher Plummer's character, Heinrich, who is who's the head of
Was it Vistron?
I'm trying to like the his like company's name.
I think it's Vistron Industries, like some kind of industrial thing.
Yeah,
It's probably
but they have like a huge, massive empire, and he um, recruits Daniel Craig. Um, he kind of brings him in, and he's like, you're write my memoir, but that's not what you're gonna be doing. What you're gonna be doing is you're gonna be catching a killer, and you find out that his niece Harriet um, went missing long time ago on a day where everything seemed to be perfectly fine, and in the midst of a kind of like chaos on the island, um, and just a lot of moving parts, she disappeared. And over the years, he has been receiving these framed glass. What do you even call it?
I don't know if there's a certain name for them, but it's whatever when you press like a
It's
plant
just
or a flower or something into a framed glass. I think there's a certain word for it. It's like a
yeah,
still
but
life thing.
yeah. So, and he's been getting them every year, and I love when this reveals so much, where he shows them the one, then you see the entire room of them, and he gets them every single year. Um, After Harriet had always given him these, and the killer has been taunting him since.
Oh yeah, it's such a good scene and it's a great shot when he's telling him about the whole family history where it was like 40 years ago the accident during the parade on the bridge happens and everything goes haywire, Harriet goes missing and all this and then he goes up to the attic where he's holding all these like still life painting photograph things of the flowers and he looks at one wall and he like tells Daniel Craig's character that that's like those are all from Harriet and then those are all from the killer and it literally pans over and it shows like a whole identical wall that's just like for years worth and he says he gets one like every birthday
Yeah. So, dude, even on rewatch, this scene hits so good. Like
Yeah,
this is such a cool plot line. Um, and I was talking to you about this beforehand because I wanted to get it correct. It's not really touched on ever after that.
no, I think that's the last thing you hear about him.
So I was a little disappointed that we don't get anything else with that. Um, and that's probably, yeah, we probably get more of that in the book. Um, but we don't get here.
I
Thanks,
think that
David.
was purely editorial purposes because this movie is like 156 minutes. I
Oh
think
yeah,
it's like his second longest movie behind Zodiac,
yeah,
and I think it's basically a 5 act structure movie too. So I think
yeah.
he was trying to cut
I
some corners.
and I would also say too, like the pacing of this movie is so good. Like it doesn't feel that long at all.
No, not at all.
It breezes by. Um, so yeah, essentially, Daniel Craig's offered like a ridiculous salary. He's I think he's like tripled his salary every month. Um, then whatever on top of it after if he doesn't find anything, or if he does, then he's offered dirt on the
Winterstrom guy.
Winterstrom. Yeah,
Yeah, the guy who
uh,
sued him to be liable at
yeah.
the beginning.
Christopher Plummer's character says, "I got something. I got proof that you can use against him." So he's kind of put into a situation where he's like, "Oh, what else am I gonna do at
Yeah,
this point?"
I guess I'll stay.
Yeah. Um, so then from there we kind of we get so he's staying on the island, and this island is in Stockholm, and you kind of learn, well, one, none of the family really gets along together, whole cast of characters, and this is a lot of the people on this island are either former Nazis or Nazi sympathizers.
Yeah, or they don't talk to him because they were Nazis.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
all hate each other.
yes. um, and I really appreciate like how you get a lot of like preferential information on a lot of like the background of the island and the characters and stuff, and sometimes it doesn't add to, but I think in this situation we like the background that we get on everything really adds to it.
Yeah.
um
It's also interesting that the whole island is just theirs. Like it's only their family on that island, and
yeah,
the bridge is the only way on or off.
yeah. Which is like like when they're going over like the 40 years ago and talking about the incident, um like you kind of get that stinger is like, you know, there's only one way on and off this island, and it's by the bridge. And the bridge was closed off due to an accident, then was closed off again, um, to because of Harriet went missing, and everyone who's ever like jumped into the lake or whatever is always found up on the
Yeah.
shore.
Only like 10 meters away. They don't get far.
Yeah. Um, the one thing that I really enjoyed upon this rewatch that I don't think I really noticed on the first two times. I like how Daniel Craig has such a disheveled look, and he looks very out of place in like the normal like business places and like normal real world, almost in a way, like the modern world.
Yeah.
But it's like until he gets into like the frigid cold, he feels a lot more natural there.
Yeah. It's also because
And
he gained weight for this role too.
yeah, and I think that was like a nice juxtaposition to how like clean the movie looks.
Hmm.
And I think like that juxtaposition between how he looks in how clean the movie is very slight. It's not like he stands out like a sore thumb. Like there's a slight difference that you can tell like there's something just slightly at almost just like I went, for lack of a better term, at war with each other between him and like in the modern world.
Well, it's nice because him and Lisbeth Salander, like you said, they're kind of the only two people who stand out, but it's only
Mhm.
subtly. And
Yeah,
it's just because Fincher is so clean with everything else, and then every other character that you see in the movie is all like very pressed, like neat fitted,
yeah,
tailored suits and everything. Everyone is so clean cut, and then you just have him where he's like has the 5 o'clock shadow, the glasses, and smoking, like the clothes don't really fit just right, kind of thing, where he just kind of looks like a writer. And then you have Lisbeth
yeah,
Salander, who is the cyberpunk. So they're the only two that kind of are out of place, but it fits, like you said, so well. Good juxtaposition.
yeah. And this was also kind of at the time where it's like, one, this movie is beautifully shot, cinematography by Jeff Cronenweth, the blocking in that, yeah, cinematography is just unbelievable in this movie. It looks phenomenal the entire time. Some great shots. Um,
Yeah, Fincher's always got those good tracking shots and good blocking.
yeah. So with Rooney Mara's character, you know, she's not really united with um, Daniel Craig yet, but
I don't think they meet till like 40 minutes into the movie, which is crazy.
maybe even after that.
Yeah, like it's a, it's a
It's
long.
almost, I think it's like almost closer to the halfway mark.
It might actually be the halfway. You might be right. The halfway point exactly might be when they meet.
So you kind of learn that, like, you know, she's been in and out of like foster care her whole life because it's just a troubled life growing up. And her current guardian has a seizure, who, because of that, is kind of in a comatose state, like a not like fully in a coma, but like he's kind of a vegetable now in a way. Like he can be like physically present, but he's not able to speak anymore or anything like that.
Yeah, it was like a debilitating stroke, but he's recovering slowly.
Yeah. Um, so she's forced to report to the the country essentially, and like the government, and
Supervisor.
we get some of the most horrendous stuff you could imagine with these scenarios where, um, you know, she's a full grown adult. Um, she's managed her expenses her whole life, but since she's a ward of the state, um, now they're requiring her to like do check-ins with her financials and all of that stuff. And um, the guy that is responsible for like looking over her. His name is Niles Bjornman. Um, basically takes advantage of her and basically extorts sexual favors um, over her, or having to, you know, have her institutionalized.
Yeah, like,
Um,
that's like the worst part. Like this is probably the most disturbing part of the whole movie is just this little section where he assaults her two times, and it's like and it's just for money. But then she blackmails
yeah,
him after the second time. But it's one of those things where it's like he basically does it out of the fact that, or he uses it against her because she has a checkered past where she's been in trouble with narcotics and she has been arrested multiple times and then drug issues, so that they're basically claiming that she can't be fiscally responsible for her own means, even though
yeah,
she's like what 23 or something like that in the movie.
yeah. The first time, I mean, it's in their first meeting. He forces her to give him a blowjob, and um, then after that, when she wants money, he brings her back to his place, and what you think is just kind of going to be the same thing, he ends up shackling her to the bed and anal raping her, and it's one of the most tough. It's unbelievable. One of the toughest scenes that honestly I've ever seen.
Yeah,
Rooney Mara's screams are so agonizing, and heartbreaking.
Oh
It's
yeah.
and I hate how good the score is during these scenes where it's like Trent and Atticus are their score is also really good. It makes it even more horrifying and just blood curdling, essentially.
Yeah.
Uh, so yeah, it's awful. Um,
I mean, they're good at making that disturbing soundscape kind of music, and it just kind of it goes well with it, and it just makes it kind of that much worse when you're listening to it.
yeah. So essentially, the second time that she goes back because she needs money again, um, she gets sweet revenge.
Yeah,
Um,
because she ended up recording the whole thing.
she recorded the whole thing the first time with a button on her backpack, and she tases him and binds him nude and shoves a steel dildo up his ass. Very forceful.
And then she kicks it.
Yeah, she kicks it. Um, then so she gives him the rundown, like, you're gonna give me a good report every month. Um, you're not going to basically go to anyone for sex at all, and you're gonna give me the money I need, all my financials, and you're never gonna contact me again.
Yeah, she
Uh,
basically said like we're never meeting again. You'll give me perfect reports from here on out.
yeah,
You will tell the court that I can have control of all my money and there will be no issues whatsoever. And then she basically says if you ever bring a girl back into this apartment, whether it is
consensual or not,
yeah, I'm going
I'll
to.
know about it, and this video of you, doing these things to me is gonna go public.
And she said if I die also, or if I
If I die, if something happens to me, same thing.
video will go public.
Um, and she in this scene, I love her look is so good, where she has like the black eye paint,
Hmm.
and also the scores going off too. Um, then she gets gets on like top of his torso, and she says, "Now be still. This is my first time doing this," and she's tattooing him.
Yeah, she got a tattoo gun.
Yeah, and she wrote, "I am a rapist pig" on his torso.
Yeah, it's great.
Amazing. And then like you get like one more scene between the two of them where she sneakily sneaks into an elevator and confronts him, and he is like mortified at the sight of her,
Oh
which is
yeah.
just awesome.
He immediately starts
And
trembling. It's so funny.
yeah, and she's like, your last report didn't have a lot of heart in
I
it. So good.
need you to do better.
Yeah, but so like that's kind of like the end of their thing, but in the midst of this, um, Daniel Craig's character goes to the higher level execs that were also talking to Elizabeth's character, and says like, who is the person that hacked into my computer and like got all this stuff on me, and like, well, she's not really like on the books or whatever. She's like kind of works kind of underground for us. But he's like, I need to meet her. Um, so he meets her and basically, gives the whole rundown and wants her to be his research assistant for this case. Um,
Which is something it's so interesting how they meet up too because the guy that hired her to do the background check on Blomkis immediately tells him that we have somebody that she did a report on you, and he immediately wants to read it. And once he reads it, he's like, "There's some stuff in here that you could only get from one place, and that's my computer." And
yeah,
that's why he wanted to meet her. And then
yeah,
as soon as he meets her, it's such a fun like little interaction because he brings her breakfast and coffee, and it's after she had like a one night stand from a girl from a club.
yeah,
And he goes in there and he's just like, "Oh, I didn't know you had company." And he tells him
yeah,
to get rid of your girlfriend And it's so
As
funny.
she's leaving,
Intrigue
she's
of
like,
it.
bye.
Yeah, he tells her bye as she's walking out. But then, of course, Elizabeth Slander, the great character moment of her getting her taser out of her drawer when he comes into the apartment. Um, and then I also love the other good character moment from Slander is when he says, "I want you to help me catch a killer of women," and immediately she like lifts her head up, and it's
Yeah,
just it's
yeah,
it piqued her interest immediately.
yeah. And it's just like you know like that type of thing is pretty on the nose, but it's in like such a good way because it just because like you've been there with Elizabeth's character, so it's like her satisfaction in this potential is like also your satisfaction too.
Yeah, and you already kind of have a little bit of hint at her background to where she's been a ward of the state since she was 12, and you don't know how many caretakers slash wards or
Yeah,
supervisors she's had to deal with. So you don't know how much of a checkered like stuff she's dealt with in general. So I'm sure the incident with this guy was not the first time. So it's kind of just like you immediately feel like she kind of has this kind of little vendetta that she's willing to go after.
yeah. Um, so like up to this point, Daniel Craig has been doing his interviews with the family, doing his own background on everything. Um, and one of the key things that stuck out was there was a parade the day that Harry went missing, and in the series of photos in the parade, you can tell there's basically she's all happy, and then you can tell she sees someone and goes completely ghost,
Mm-hmm.
like
And then
like
she,
she saw a ghost, and she leaves, and that's kind of like the part where it's like, okay, this is like kind of like the start of like her going missing that day.
that's the last time
um
anyone saw her.
yeah, and so it's like they're trying to figure out who she saw in the photo. um and I love, like, one of my favorite moments is like the score and like the combining with the visual of like the photos playing out.
Yeah, through the
And
slideshow.
yeah, it just works so well. And this was like also one made me realize that one of like the strongest aspects of this movie is the score transition between scenes.
Mm-hmm.
The score transitions between scenes rather than like hard cutting and like going into something else, and it always is just done so well. And as a whole, the editing in this movie is unbelievable.
Oh yeah, editing is seamless. I mean, it's so crisp the way this transitions and everything. And like you said, the score just like complements it all the way.
It was edited by Kirk Baxter and Angus Wall, and they did win the Academy Award for Best Film Editing for Social Network and this, so back to back years.
Yeah, and the Social Network I think was the first.
Also has unbelievable editing.
I think that was the first movie to win an Academy Award being edited on Final Cut Pro.
Oh, sick.
Yeah, I think they used Apple Final Cut to edit that movie. That was the first time that's ever been done.
That's pretty sick. Um, so now you kind of get to we're finally, we have the two stories like kind of coming together. You have Daniel Craig and Rooney Mara on the island together now. Um, and in as this is happening, um, Heinrich's character, who hired Daniel Craig, has a heart attack. So he's not present at the moment being like on the island. And so like there's this whole thing of like, now you get even more in the murky waters with the family and what to do and all that stuff. Especially considering that he's like, Craig's like, what happens if something happens to him? And because I'm promised all these things. Um,
Yeah, and everyone's sniffing around, trying to figure out what he's investigating and who are the suspects. And then now that Heinrich is gone and at the hospital, he has to ask permission for every single little thing that Philander want to do.
yep.
And so they're being watched for literally everything that they try and do. And I mean, that's basically kind of what the whole middle half of the movie is kind of that's what I call the comfort portion to me is where it's just him and Elizabeth investigating.
Together doing stuff, yeah.
Yeah, just in the cottage, just investigating and going back and forth and dealing with
And
everything.
their relationship is also blossoming at the same time. You kind of realize that they say it, but like, both of them just love working together. They both play off together very well in terms of just researching and just doing the work.
Which that's actually my favorite scene in the whole movie is actually when he is investigating the abandoned house. Someone fires like cracks off a shot at him, and it just
Yeah.
grazes like this right here, just nicks him.
Yeah.
And then he starts running. And crazy part about that in the movie, I know I'm sure a lot of people have said this before, but all the blood in that scene and in the bathtub scene is CGI,
Oh, really?
which is crazy. I mean, that's
I
just
never realized that.
yeah, that's just Fincher visual effects, just next level. All that blood is not even real, but it's like he's bleeding. He gets away. He gets back to the place, and Elizabeth sees that he's been bleeding and he's in the shower, and so she pulls out the dental floss and she's gonna stitch him up with dental floss
Yeah.
and vodka basically poured over it. But then that leads to them actually having sex for the first time. They have their
Yeah.
sex scene, and then literally the next morning, it's she had made him breakfast
Yes, dude.
sitting on the she's like sitting on the sink, and she won't even kind of it's kind of this weird thing where she's like she wants to look at him but she doesn't want to seem vulnerable, so she kind of avoids eye contact.
Yeah.
And she all she says is like, I like working with you, and he immediately without like blinking is just like, I really like working with you too. And then she
Yeah.
kind of looks away back out the window and just kind of like smirks a little bit, and it's just such that's my favorite scene in the whole movie because the that's kind of those two characters that moment's just so
It's
wholesome.
good. It's so good. Um, yeah, it's just like I remember like the first time it even hits like it hits on rewatches too, but it's like yeah, him waking up and breakfast is made for him. And
Hmm.
it's like out of all the people, like, she's making breakfast for him is just so cool. Um, yeah, very much like besides like her most recent caretaker, she doesn't really have anyone else. So this is like the first person in a while where she can, feels comfortable with and doing stuff for and being around.
Yeah, which that's another great character detail with her too that a lot of people don't really notice, but she only says hey hey twice in the whole movie. And the first time
Okay.
is when she goes into the house to see her original caretaker when she finds out he had a stroke. She walks in there and she goes like, "Hey, hey." And then the second time is when she finds out that he has been kidnapped at the end of the movie. She walks into the cottage and says, "Hey, hey." So
Oh,
it's
that's awesome.
so
I didn't even notice that.
it's so insane that it's like that's another one of her little ticks where she only says that to someone that she is, comfortable and vulnerable with.
Yeah.
And then both times she says in the movie, something has gone awry with the person that she's, looking for, basically.
Dude, that's such a cool little detail that I didn't notice.
Yeah, I love it.
Um, so going back to kind of like him being sniped at, um, it happens out of nowhere.
Yeah,
Like,
because he's just looking around an abandoned house, right?
yeah, and like he's just like in leaving the woods after it, and I love how this like set of events plays out. So like after that, um, well, also too, the cottage cat got laid victim to
Yeah.
the killer, which is rest in peace, cat, poor
Yeah.
cat,
I love how they just named him Cat.
rest in peace, a real one. Um,
Cat.
yeah, but like so every time now after him being sniped at, like him with like interviewing family members and stuff, you're paying attention to who owns guns.
Yeah.
Like he goes into the house of like the really old um, guy,
The
and
Nazi.
yeah, he has a bunch of hunting rifles up on his wall. The next time he goes to Stellan Skarsgård's house, he has guns. So it's like all of them, like pretty much probably all of them do, and it's just such a nice little cat and mouse thing for the viewer and for him.
Well, and the
To,
caretaker of the property has a gun too. Gunner, the guy
yeah,
who set him up at the cottage at first, he
yeah,
finds out that he has a gun also.
yeah, and also too like going back a little bit to like the during the cleaning up the wound scene, I realized like, damn, dude, the production and set design for this movie is so perfect. Like, the cottage itself is just looks exactly how it should look like to kind of
Oh
match almost like the characters of both Daniel Craig and Rooney Mara's characters. Um, Feels very much like them in a way. Um, and I also thought it was pretty hilarious, like him flinching when he got bit during sex by
yeah.
Elizabeth was so funny. Um, then there was like also a nice, like a cool little thing, like technical wise. Rooney Mara is Elizabeth's doing a bunch of research in the company's like backlog areas and like going through all the records. And this is like when I really like. There's a lot of like lens flares
Yes.
from the that lamps and basically the lights in the records rooms and stuff.
It's
And
always
there
a
was
lamp on a desk.
yeah, and there wasn't really any of that else in the film. You know what I mean? And besides like cars or whatever, but like in like actual places, in actual buildings, there wasn't any of that yet. So like during that scene, I was like, dude, the lens flares look awesome.
Yeah, it only happens the one other time when Daniel Craig is at his desk and it like glides over his desk and it comes from the lamp in front of him. And I think it's when he realizes that Harriet sees somebody at the parade.
Okay.
That was the only other lens flare I clocked other than her in the archives.
hmm Um. So you kind of get the breakdown of the killer has been raping and murdering women, um, who all have biblical names,
Jewish name
Jewish names, and
with scripture.
with scripture. Very much like same method of, it's ritualistic in a way where he's doing the same things pretty much every single time. But to match the scripture. So like one of the girls was decapitated, like de-winged essentially. One was lit on fire to go with the scriptures that he selected.
One
So
was
there's like
death.
over the years, like the killer has been killing lots of women.
It goes back to the 40s, don't it? It was like the
Yes.
40s through the 60s, and then it continued on, and that was when that guy said you should probably start looking at a nursing home.
Yeah. Um. So as Elizabeth in the she finally gets access to the files that she needs, and the person that's working there is giving her a really tough time, saying that she doesn't need access to all this stuff, but she finally gets access to the stuff that actually places. Um, I want to get his name correct.
This is Martin.
Martin, but his father first.
Yeah, it places his father, and then you place Martin.
Places his father at basically all of these where his company's kind of like buying out things and like expanding.
Yeah.
Places them at all of these towns where these killings are happening. Then it gets to a point where he dies and the killings keep happening.
Yeah, because he was basically the family drunk, the family
Yeah.
partier, and he was also really heavy into just like abuse and scripture and all that. And apparently, he would be the one to take people out to dinner and stuff for the company to swoon people for dinners. And then that was basically how it leads up to the point that you're talking about, where it's like you pinpoint every place that there's an expansion for the company. He was
Yeah.
there, and then yeah, after he dies from a supposed drowning from intoxication. So for some reason they continue on.
Yeah, and that's where you're like, and where she's like, you get like her like spreadsheet of like it's him, it's him, it's him, it's him. And then you finally it's after he dies, and she just does like who's this now?
Yeah.
So Mikkel, basically is like in the instance of doing his own digging as Rooney Mara is doing her own digging as well, and she's basically they're separated pretty great, pretty far,
It's
and
cross-cutting between them as they're both basically getting to the
yeah,
same conclusion.
and so he decides to go into Martin's house, and this is also when you see like oh he has hunting rifles locked up, and he's like trying he finds a room they can't get into, but Martin comes home and Martin realizes that someone's been in his house.
He left the door like slightly cracked.
Yeah, but like also too, it's like he was able to tell like something feels off here.
Yeah.
And Dan Mikhail literally stumbles in the forest as he's trying to get away.
He falls.
And Martin sees him, and he invites him in for a drink. And it's when Martin pulls a gun on him and tells him, "Put my knife back. You're not like, yeah."
He notices that Mikhail took his kitchen knife when he was scouting out the house.
Yeah. So it then turns out that Martin has a whole ass torture room in his basement. And he says like, I've never done this with a male before. And like he strings up Daniel Craig by his neck in basically like almost like a tile area that's like kind of like what a like standing shower would kind of look like.
Yeah, with like a drain below him. It's like it's like one little section that's like a like you said, a standing shower with a drain there.
Yeah.
And he basically
And
he's never had another man in there except for his father.
Yeah, and he's filming it, and he mentions Harriet, and Martin gets really pissed. He's like he doesn't
Yeah, because he thinks he found out where she is, and he's like,
yeah,
"Where is she?" And Daniel Craig's like, "Well, you killed her," and so he was like, "Oh, you're a dumb fucking detective."
Yeah, and so it's at this time that Elizabeth has been on her way to, because she figured out who it was.
They both linked it to his school blazer, because apparently he got sent away to school, and then he went back and he had found some old pictures from a honeymooner who was taking them at the parade, and he realized that it was Martin that Harriet saw at the parade.
Yeah.
And then Elizabeth figured out the same thing, and she immediately leaves the archives to go find Mikhail.
Yep. And she gets the sneak on him, hits him with a club across the face. Pretty good.
Yeah, nice golf club hit. Nice swing.
Really good swing.
Yeah, she breaks his jaw.
Yeah. And so he's getting away, and he drives off, and Elizabeth is following him, and he crashes.
The part where he asks her after she hits him with the golf club and he starts running, and she breaks the plastic bag over Daniel Craig's face, and she asks, "May I kill him?" And Daniel Craig just like nodding.
Yeah. And it's like also too when he has like the bag over his head, like you get like the inside shot of like in the bag during the one point, which is really cool. So yeah, there's a chase. Martin crashes into a propane tank, a large.
Yeah.
And it explodes. He dies. Deserved, but a little, Elizabeth definitely wanted to deal the final blow for sure.
Oh yeah, she gun him down.
Yeah. So she returns, and that's kind of like, the ending to like that little portion of the story.
This is basically like a 5-act movie, because this is basically like the third act right here.
Yeah, and you still have like
2 other
minutes left.
Yeah,
you still have like 45 minutes left. So you still have Christopher Plummer's Henrik is still recovering, um, and but it was at this point where they kind of found out who Harriet was.
Yeah, but they still kind of got it wrong because they thought this lady, which he had already met, and it was like one of the only family members that got away, and it was
Yep.
it was another sister, and that she lives in New York, and they already met her before, and they thought that she knew where Harriet was. They scouted out her house, they tapped her phone and her
It
computer.
was funny where like, they he tries talking to her and then they're like monitoring her activity and then she just goes immediately to shopping. She doesn't call anyone or whatever. She just goes to shopping after Daniel Craig shows up.
Yeah, because they baited her. He was like, he went there and he was like, Martin, your brother died.
Yep.
He was like, and he was assuming that she was going to call Harriet.
Yeah.
Then of course they were like looking at her computer and she's just looking at purses and like necklaces and they're like, well, she's just shopping. And then they go
Yep.
later on in the night and it's like, is she still playing solitaire? It's like,
Yeah. Yeah.
and so then he goes back to her and he realizes like the only reason you wouldn't call your sister is because your sister's dead or you are your sister. And it turns out that she is Harriet and that they did a switcheroo and that the other one did die in a car accident with her husband. So she
Yeah.
actually is Harriet this whole time, and they figured that
She
out.
yeah, and she basically tells, she confesses like, what's been going on her whole life. Um
And how she got away, like how she got off the
yeah.
island with the bridge being closed and everything.
So both Martin and his father had basically grown up, molesting and raping her for a long time. And one night, um, she was able to get the best of him and hit him over the head with a large
It was like, or
oar.
yeah.
Yeah, and it was successfully able to be looked at as he drowned due to intoxication.
Well, he fell
But
into the water, passed out, and then she held him under with the oar.
yeah, but Martin went away, so she felt like, oh, this is the point where the horrors of being in this family are done. But then it was the day during the parade and during this whole family gathering that she sees Martin at the parade. She and goes to her sister to get her out of this situation. They do the swap, and she hides her in the trunk of her car to get off the island. And essentially, she was free for a long time until Mikkel showed up.
Yep.
Um,
And she never wanted
but
to go back or have anything to do with it as long as Martin was alive. And then that was basically how they close off the fourth act is that they take Harriet to Christopher Plummer's Heinrich because Martin's gone now. And so he finally gets reunited with Harriet and he starts crying and then they kind of have a nice little embrace. And then you
yep.
get to basically now what would be, I guess, the fifth act, which is
Hmm.
where now you're getting the conclusion with the Wernerstrom secondary trial.
Yep. But it doesn't really matter because the thing that Christopher Plummer's character gave him is not enough to do anything with.
Which they do another kind of bait out because they find out that that stuff's not enough to actually convict him because there's a statute of limitations and it was 35 years ago when he embezzled from their company to start his.
Yep.
And so now it's got
But
slander.
Elizabeth has been playing behind the scenes. She's been monitoring him and has a lot of dirt on him. That's more newer. So
She knows where all of his accounts are.
um, yeah, so you get this like whole additional act of like her draining out the money of all of his accounts.
It's very funny because it's kind of like this little spy thing where she gets all these disguises and covers up her tattoos and gets like a
Yeah,
wig, goes into all these banks and with the different passport and everything, and basically clears out all of his accounts and makes it look like that he was basically clearing his accounts because of this article that they put in the Millennium to make him look guilty, even though
Yeah.
he actually was guilty of fraud and of like money laundering and everything.
Yeah. Um, and it's like things are just like going so right for Elizabeth at this point. You know, everything right now is like adding up to, kind of essentially being put in these situations. All of these situations have come out in a favorable outcome for her. Um,
And she goes
and
back to her original caretaker, and she tells him that she's actually happy for once.
and that she has, a friend or whatever. Um, someone saved me too. Um, didn't she say that, or did Daniel Craig say that?
Daniel Craig said that to Harriet about her
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
she saved him from Martin, but she just tells her caretaker that I finally have a friend that you would approve of. And the
Yes.
caretaker
Yeah.
kind of lifts up his like eyebrows, like that's
Yeah.
all he does, which is kind of
Yeah.
funny.
Yeah. Which is like, it's so like, again, it's so wholesome, and it's like you just feel so happy for her. Um, and it's just like, for that to be like that effective is just, uh, they did all the right things with this character. You
Yeah,
know.
Solander is
Um,
an amazing character.
so she goes ahead and she goes to a tailor to make a jacket for Mikkel, very similar to hers.
Yeah, it's his like original. It's like a replica of his original biker jacket from when he had a motorbike.
Yeah. And this is like right at the end of the movie. Um, it's a very interesting way to end the movie.
Well, it's a hilarious way to end the movie because what you basically find out is that Daniel Craig's at a coffee shop. He finds out that Winterstrom got shot 3 times in the back of the head
Yeah.
because of being involved with criminal organizations. And when his bank accounts got drained, they knew they weren't getting their money back. So they just cold cut like mob killed him.
Yeah.
It's like okay, so he's dead, and then you just go straight to, all right, she got a nice jacket for him, and the tailor is like, he must be a really important friend to spend this much money on like a jacket for him.
Yeah.
And then she goes to take it to him. And then you get the actual ending of the movie when she goes to take the jacket to him.
And he's still involved with his boss.
Yeah, Robin Wright. He walks out with
And,
Robin Wright.
and she sees it. And it's so heartbreaking.
It really is.
It's because like you have so much faith that Mikkel is, that shit doesn't matter anymore.
It's
But
lame because you clocked it as soon as she came back from doing all the bank account stuff when she tried to give him a cigarette in the street when she met him to pay him back, and he was like, and he looks up at the window to his boss and then says, I quit. And it's like, oh god,
um,
he's back with her.
and like yeah, she's devastated. Um,
But I love that she just tosses the jacket in the dumpster.
yeah, she tosses the jacket in the dumpster, but it's like Rooney Mara is a phenomenal actress. Like what she does, like with like to portray her devastation with only her facial reactions in this scene, is just right and is so damn good. And it's just build up of the great character too, where you feel equally as devastated for her, and she rides off on her bike,
Yeah.
and that's the end of the movie.
Well, that's honestly, like you said, I mean, it's just such a great performance. And I think that's my favorite kind of acting is when you don't see like an over the top reaction or you don't even see really that much facial movement. It's when the acting is all in the eyes. And it's like she just gives such a great, like, just heartbreaking performance right there. And she's not even really doing that much. But I think
Yeah,
that's just like, that just shows you how good of a performer she is when you have an actor who can just basically act with their eyes and just give you basically all range of emotions with just that. That's impressive to me. And those are the kind of nuances in performances that I really like.
yeah. God, what an ending, man.
Yeah, and then immediately you just get like I guess since you had the cold intro after the cold opening, you just it as soon as she drives off, it just goes to black, and then you just have the rolling credits. And it's like, damn.
It. I wonder if like the first book. I'm assuming the first book kind of probably ends like that. Um, this time definitely, like, now that I'm more of a reader, like, I definitely want to read these books. Um,
Yeah, I'd be curious to see if that's where it ends for that first one also.
but, you know, just looking at this movie as a whole, it's so damn good.
It's so
It's
good.
it's either you can argue that it is, if someone said this is a 5-star movie for them, I'm like, fuck yeah.
Yeah, I can't really argue with that.
Yeah. It's like a 4.5 for me. It's like near perfect for me.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it's unbelievable.
It's a sin that
And
we never got a sequel.
yeah, let's talk about that. So immediately after the success of this movie, they were like, "All right, we're gonna film the next two movies back to back." That's what they were planning. Years go by, nothing happens. Even though they're pumping money into doing this thing, nothing happens. And so it gets to the point where it's 2015. They're like still thinking like, well, something's gonna happen because like there's so much money into this thing, and nothing happens until 2018, and it's an adaptation of the fourth book in the series, and neither Daniel Craig or Rooney Mara are returning, or David Fincher.
Yeah, you get Fede Alvarez with Claire Foy. Which nothing against Fede Alvarez or Claire Foy, but what a downgrade, dude.
yeah, major downgrade. Again, like you said, nothing against them, but it's like such a downgrade. Um, and it just doesn't feel right at all.
No.
Like it was essentially a situation where like they got to a point where like, well, we have to do something.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Could we not at least bring Rooney Mara back? Because you know that she wanted to.
yeah, I remember in my like early days of really getting into film and going through David's filmography, there was an email from Rooney that basically went public of her emailing one of the producers on the film and saying like really like pouring her heart out and saying like this character, I identify so much with this character, I really made it my own. This character has a lot of baggage and I really made it my thing, and I'm like I desperately want to do the sequel, and I desperately want to make this happen. And it's such a heartbreaking email because like you can just tell, just even from digital words, like how much she cares about this character and how much she wanted to do a sequel, um, and it never happened.
Yeah, I don't know why they didn't give it to her. Even if you're going to change directors or something, at least bring Mara back. But
You got Rooney Mara coming to you by email, pouring her heart out, and you say no.
yeah,
How does that happen?
makes no sense.
Never, never should that happen.
Executives notoriously don't know how to make good decisions.
Yeah. But we sit here and we have so many we have just this included. We have so many movies to look back on in terms of Fincher's just awesome run, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Um yeah, you're totally right. This movie is it's some of the most disturbing. There's scenes in this movie that are some of the most disturbing I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
That the rape scene of Elizabeth is so fucking tough,
Yeah.
and it just makes it worse. Where it's like all of like the victims of the killers are all raped and murdered and done horrendous things too. Um, it's a pretty tough movie, and so it definitely fits the bill. But we both love it.
Yeah, it's one of those weird movies. It's really tough and it's really dark and oppressive, but it's not like grating. Like it doesn't punish the viewer. You know what I mean? Like it's not a punishing watch, but it's just
And like you can almost like argue that it does kind of punish the viewer, but it also gives you so much reward too.
yeah, it does give you a lot of reward. I guess you could say that it probably does punish you. I guess what I mean is like it's not
It's
doing it.
not as over the top as
Yeah, like it doesn't. You can tell the movie doesn't hate the audience.
Yeah, it's not trying to be like, I'm doing this right now 'cause fuck you.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
want you to hate, I want you to hate what you're watching right now in a way that like you're gonna lose respect for me.
Yeah, like something like Irreversible, I feel like hates the audience. Or
Kind of, it's it's like, guess what? This scene is gonna be whole horrendously tough,
yeah,
and you're gonna sit through it, and you're gonna watch it.
like that's
This one,
probably like I guess that's more of like a punishing watch. Like you're just
yeah,
like, "Ugh."
yeah.
No.
Um, this one, there's everything is purposeful and it adds to the development. And it is a rewarding experience. You know, Elizabeth getting into the relationship that she has with Mikkel is a very rewarding experience, and even in the devastation of the ending, because it's so effectively devastating, is rewarding in its own sense too.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, I think so.
so we just got a fucking Fincher banger here.
Exactly. A Fincher banger.
Um, so thank you for picking this, Addison.
Of course.
I was so glad to rewatch this.
Me too, honestly.
Yeah. Um, so that was The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. I'm even more intrigued now to, read the books and watch the Swedish movies because, they're well received and heard nothing but good things. Um, is my pick next.
Yep.
We are going to be um, talking about a Philip Seymour Hoffman, some might say masterclass, and that is Happiness, directed by Todd Solondz, who is a playwright. This movie has an ensemble cast. Oh, dude, I just realized who's in this movie.
What?
My beloved
Who's your beloved?
Laura Flynn Boyle, who played fuck, I can't believe I just embarrassed myself. Oh, Donna in Twin Peaks.
Oh.
My beloved Laura Flynn Boyle. She's in this movie, so now I'm even more excited. But Happiness is a 1998 black comedy drama film, and it's apparently pretty damn tough. Um, with it like not being like gory or anything like that, it's just extremely dark.
Okay. I think his son actually picked this movie in the Criterion Closet also.
He did,
Yeah.
and there's a really funny clip. He's like, I didn't think that I'd be watching my dad jerk off on film, but here we are. So yeah, that's what we're gonna touch on next. That's been on my radar for a long time. I just haven't watched it. So, and this is on our list from the beginning.
Let's do it.
So that's what we're gonna do. Thank you guys as always for watching, listening. This was a great episode, and we'll catch you guys next time.
Heck yeah.
Peace.